Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time joining me, thank you so much. I'm so glad you're here. So today I want to talk to you guys about how you can improve your colored pencil blending skills by coloring in grayscale. What does that mean? Meet me on the other side and I'll tell you all about it. What do I mean when I talk about coloring in grayscale? So coloring in grayscale means we're going to use gray colored pencils to practice blending. And what that does, we're removing color as a distraction from your blending process. So this is going to help you kind of go back to the basics. This is the equivalent of if you were to take a photography class, you might learn black and white photography first because that's going to teach you to see light and shadow, and then you can migrate into color photography. So same thing here. So we're going to kind of go back to black and white, and let's look at blending with some gray, different shades of gray, to see how that works. I think that that's going to help you guys see this a little bit better and blend a little easier. So one of the things that you hear when we talk about the color wheel, you hear people talk about hue, tint, and value. So hue is, what color is it? This is pink, or this pen is blue, or maybe an aqua blue. Tint is, I add more black to the pink. Oops, you can hear all my pencils rustling around on here. So now I get a darker pink. Or if I have a darker pink and I add white to it, I get a lighter pink. So it's the same color, but you're making it lighter or darker by adding white or black to it. Then finally you have value. Value is how light or dark is the overall color. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So the first thing that I wanted to do, I made kind of a little cheat sheet. So we're going to first talk about colors that are sort of close together in value, meaning their lightness or darkness on a page. So I have pulled from my Prisma set 10%, 30%, and 50% cool gray. I don't know why. I'm always biased towards the cool grays, not the warm grays. But there you go. So what I'm going to do here, and let me make sure that this is in camera. Okay, so I'm going to just sort of, and I'll do this sort of kind of quickly here, but I'm going to put down the 10% first. You can see that's just barely like a little hint of color. Then we're going to add 30% next. And I'm getting outside the lines. Y'all know me, I don't really care. Okay, and then 50% last. Now you can see here, the point with this exercise first is this is a very low contrast blend, meaning there's not a whole lot of difference between the 10 down to the 50 when it comes to lightness. So if I take the 50 and I blend back up into the 30, and then I take the 30 and I blend back up into the 10, you can see it's a very smooth, easy, and I'm not even sure I'm getting all the white spaces, to be honest, but it's a very easy blend, right? So that's very low contrast, going from the darkest to the lightest area. So now let's try the same thing, but let's use 20%, 20, let's see, 20, 50, and then let me get a 90%, which is this guy. So we're gonna do the same exercise here, and you're going to see how you're going to have more contrast. Now, because we have more contrast, that means it's going to be more difficult to blend because you're going to have bigger changes from one color to the next. So there's the 20, now here's the 50. So you can already see it's a more distinct change. And then especially when we put down the 90, because this is almost black, y'all. In fact, if you don't have a black pencil, but you have a 90% cool gray, then there you go. That's probably all you need. Think of it as like a dark charcoal. Okay, so you can see here, this is very, very dark. So it's tougher to blend from this 90 to the 50 than we saw going from the 50 to the 30 because it's such a color jump, right? You can still do it, but it's just going to take a little bit more patience and effort and maybe a little elbow grease. Do you use elbow grease when you color? I don't know. Boy, when I was growing up in the 70s, everything my parents talked about, elbow grease. I used to think, what the heck is that? Okay, so again, this isn't fully colored in, but you get the idea. You can see here, let me wipe away the pencil crumbs, that going from 20 to 50 isn't too big of a jump, but 50 to 90 certainly is. So you can see how it's going to be a little tougher to blend, to make this a smooth transition as we move up and down this scale. So now what I want to do is let's make sure this is in the middle here. Yep. Okay, so now what if we added 70% in between the 50? So if we added another color up here in between the 50 and the 90 to sort of stair step it, let's see if that makes it easier. So we're going to start again with the 20% first. And I'm going to move to the 50%. Next, okay. Then the 70%. So now these stair steps from one color to the next, or one value to the next, are more manageable. So look at this, going from the 90 to the 70, that's not a big jump at all. I can blend the crud out of that thing and just nail it, right? That's easy. So let's do it. But my point is, I just wanted to show you that when you're picking your colors, if you kind of consider how light or dark they are, that's going to influence how easy or difficult it might be to try to blend the colors together. So if you're struggling a little bit, maybe step back and look at the kinds of colors you're choosing. And maybe that's what is becoming a hurdle for you, or sort of getting in your way. Okay, so now if we look at this, so let me put both of these in camera. 20 to 50 is okay. 50 to 90 is a bigger jump, and that's going to be harder to blend. And then down here, 20 to 50, now introducing the 70, going from 70 to 50 is really good, and 90 to 70 as well. So you can see that that is, you know, sometimes if you just stick another color in there, even if you don't make it like a big part of your shape that you're trying to color, you just sort of stick it in between. That's going to help you get a smoother transition when you blend. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So the next thing I want to talk about is when we look at our colors, how do I know where to shade my light, medium, and dark colors? So we're going to do, let's see, we'll stick with 20, we'll do 20, 50, and 70. Let's see how that works. Actually, nope. We'll do 30, 50, and 70. All right. Even thirds. So what I'm saying here is a lot of the time you can equally distribute the color just by splitting your shape into even segments or sections. So if you have 4 colors that you want to color, maybe you divide it into quartiles. I'm going to be fancy with a word. Or if it's just 2 colors, you can cut it in half. So what that means is when I'm going to start out with my lightest color here, and I'm always going to go past that line. That would be like the third. And because these are grays, I don't have to go all the way down. You can. You don't have to. Now, when I color with a darker color, I'm definitely going to color this whole section here. But I'm going to go into the top light part just a little bit and down into the bottom part. So this is probably the color that gets distributed the most in this shape. Okay, now for the dark color, definitely this whole bottom section will get the dark color. And I'm going to just barely kind of come over that 1/3 line right there. And then I'll just use that. So that's where the blending will happen. So now if I go back, I'm going to blend out between these 2 colors here. And this is, of course, my mid-tone color. And then up here, I'm going to blend out the lighter color with that middle section. But I wanted you to see that when you blend, you can imagine like equal portions on whatever shape you're coloring. So the next thing I wanted to do here was, oops, I didn't draw my little lines. So what if we wanted to emphasize a darker color? So what we would do is we would actually move our lines like this. So let me get a darker color. let's go 30, 30, 50, and, or let's do, yeah, 90. We'll try that one. Okay, so what I mean here is if I want to emphasize the darker color when I'm blending, so I'll blend the lighter color. So I'm still going to follow, and this is my process. I always go light to dark, dark to light. A lot of people do the opposite. They like to lay down the dark color first. Do whatever you're most comfortable and whatever you think is best. This is just my way. It doesn't mean it has to be your way. It doesn't mean you have to like it. This is just how I understand it and how I do it. So I put down the lightest color first, and now we're going to move to the 50% here. So now it's going to get a little darker. And then we're going to put down the 90%. Uh-oh, it just came off of my little pencil holder. So 90% all down here, right? And I'm not going to be perfect with this, just in the interest of time and keeping the video short for you guys. But you can see here, when we color like this, this becomes a very dominantly dark blend, right? So now, finish this off real quick. Okay, so most of the shape is dominated by the darker colors in the blend. So it's the same 3 colors we used up here, but now this is just, actually I think I used the 30, not the 20, so almost the same 3. But you can see here how it's more dominated by the dark color. So if we wanted to do the opposite, we could do the same with the light color. So now we're gonna have more of the light color here. And then I'll bring in my mid-tone near the bottom. And then my darkest color at the bottom. Okay. Again, not trying to be perfect in the interest of time. Also, one thing I want you to think about when you're blending your colors together, it's hard sometimes. You get a line where you are obviously joining your colors. So what I want you to think about is not coloring like these distinct lines, but sort of feather the color into the next color above it. So think of it this way, kind of like for those of you who wear bangs with your hair like I do, when you go to get your hair cut, are they going to lop them off in a straight line, or are they going to sort of feather your bangs so that it softens them if they kind of cut into your bangs? So that's what you're doing here. So you're just kind of feathering the color from one section to the next. So what we're going to do this with actual colors in just a second, but I wanted to show you the difference here. So here you get your dark emphasis or your strongly dark blend and a strongly light blend using the same 3 colors, but you can see how that might evoke a different emotion on the page that you're coloring. So I will be right back, and we're going to set up and do the same exercise with some colors. So hang on and we'll be right back. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing, and what I've done, I've pulled a few pinks from my Prisma set. I've got Deco Pink, Blush Pink, and Pink. And don't you just love when you get to pull a new pencil out to start using it? So we're going to do the same thing. So just like before here, we had less contrast. We're going to do the same thing, and I'm going to show you how that looks with actual color now. So we're going to take the Deco Pink and put this down. So it's the same concept, same idea. Blush Pink. We're going to sort of feather that in up here. And then regular, good old pink. Pink is a good standby. All right. So, oops, I'm actually, my marker's smearing a little bit. I guess it didn't dry very well on this paper. So ignore the little bit of black down there. So kind of feather this pink into the blush. Go back with the blush pink. And then back again with the Deco. So you can see here, there's not a lot of contrast in this blend. So meaning going from Deco Pink to pink, your color changes are very soft or subtle. So you don't have to, these are going to be easier to blend. So now let's use the same example, but instead of using pink, I want to pull processed red. Hang on, let me sharpen that one real quick. Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing, and I'm gonna show you how this is gonna be with, oh, I cannot talk today. How this is gonna be a higher contrast. And again, whoopsie, I'm getting a little black from the marker. Okay, and then the blush, pink in here. And then processed red at the bottom. And boy, do I love processed red. It is so, this is not red to me at all. This is a pretty, pretty pink. But I don't know why they call it processed red. So I'm just lightly feathering it up into the blush. And you know how I always say the magic with blending happens when you pull that lighter color over the darker color. And look at that. It sure does. Okay. Deco for the end. Deco for the win. Okay. So you can see here, there's a lot more, whoops. I'm not making my point very well, am I? I didn't put very much processed red down here. Sorry, guys. Do as I say, not as I do. Here we go. So you can see on this one that there's more bigger steps from deco to blush to processed red. So again, we can solve that by adding back in pink to step between the blush and the processed red. So we'll do that in this step here. So we'll start out with the deco. Oops, get a clean piece of paper there. Deco pink. Getting a lot of pencil dust today. Blush pink. Regular pink, this is the color we're adding. And then the processed red at the bottom. So now you could see this is an easier stair step, right? It's easier to go from the processed red to the pink. And then of course from the pink into the blush. Blend that out really well. And then the deco pink into the blush. Okay, so now you can see that you've got more contrast, but we've got a little bit of a smoother jump from here to here by adding pink. So now what I wanted to do was, let's talk again about even thirds. Oops. Sorry, I didn't sharpen these ahead of time. My bad. Okay, so we're going to use light aqua, aquamarine, and cobalt turquoise. Aqua is my favorite color family, so I'm excited to use it in my little demo today. Okay, shut up, Kim. So we're going to just do even thirds. We're going to take the light aqua at the top here. And again, you can color all the way down if you want to. I know like Jennifer stays rule of thirds, she colors all the way down. For me, it just depends on what mood I'm in and how I want to. Sometimes I don't want that color to come all the way down. It's like if I'm blending red, orange, and yellow, red, and orange, I don't necessarily want it to come, I want like a true red, not an orangey red at the bottom. So it just depends. Just do it however you want to. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Okay, so again, here's the cobalt turquoise. So this is where I'm talking about you get a line. So just feather it up into your next color. And we'll go back to the aquamarine. And we're going to pull that aquamarine down over the cobalt. And you can see how that really mixes it up and blends it well. And again, we'll just feather this back up here a little bit. Into the turquoise, oh, sorry, light aqua. Okay, and there we go with that. So there's our even thirds. So now it looks like you've equally distributed the three colors here. So with using the same three colors, we'll do a dark emphasis and a light emphasis. So again, we'll start out with the light aqua. And then the aquamarine. This aquamarine is so pretty. I say that about all my pencils. This pencil is so pretty. Okay, and then the cobalt turquoise. This is going to dominate and take up this whole lower section here. Okay. Kind of bring that up into the aquamarine. Pull that aquamarine down over that line. Feather it up into the light aqua a little bit. Okay, there we go. We'll finish that off with light aqua. Okay. Oops, for some reason today I'm not hitting the bottom of these colors very well. I'm so sorry, you guys. To show you how, so this is a very dark, intense, dark emphasized blend. So the darker color is taking up most of the shape. So now to do the opposite, we're going to take the light aqua here. All right. And then, oh, excuse me, a little bit of aquamarine. All this rain here in Texas is just kind of, and I guess mostly the winds have really kicked up the pollen a notch for sure. So I apologize for that. Let's see, cobalt turquoise at the bottom. So in something like this, you're just going to get like a little hint of that bottom color. And then we'll go back to the aquamarine. I don't know if y'all heard that or not. My husband's listening to, or he's watching, I think he's watching Justified on the TV in the living room, and he's got it turned up. And I just heard a gunshot. That was not a gunshot in the George household. Okay. There we go. So that is a light emphasis based color combo versus dark. Okay, so what I want to do next, this is all well and good, but let's actually apply this on a page. So I will go get a coloring book and I'll be right back. I just grabbed Twilight Garden by Maria Trolle, and we're going to use this page here on the left. Let me zoom in real quick. See if that makes that a little easier for y'all to see. Okay, we're going to color, oh, sorry, just knocked the camera. We're going to color this flower here. So what we're going to do, I'm going to use a light emphasized combo. And so I'm going to do mostly light on this petal, like this, right? You see how I'm using, but same three colors. Then here comes the aquamarine. And I might even round it out to sort of match the shape of the petal a little bit. And then I'm going to put the cobalt turquoise down here at the very bottom for that. And sometimes with these, I like to sort of bring in a little bit of an outline. Okay, so there's the cobalt turquoise. All right. Still missing a couple little edges there. Okay. Then back to the aquamarine to really blend that in. And I'm going to lightly feather that. And now we're going back to the light aqua. And isn't that pretty? Oh, I like this. Okay. So what I'm going to do is color a few more of these petals. I'll speed up and then we'll look at the pink combo in just a second. Okay, isn't that pretty? I love this and can't wait to finish coloring that flower and then also the same flower down here at the bottom of the page like that. So what we're gonna do now, I'm going to get the pink combo here and I'm gonna grab all 4 colors and we're going to do, let's see, let's do this little guy here. I'm not sure what kind of flower that is, but that's what we're going to color next. So this is this is a light dominant, combination, and now we're going to do a dark dominant combination. So I'm going to start out with just a little of the light color at the top, a little bit of the blush pink, okay, a little bit of the regular pink. And now here comes Process Red. Okay. All right, let's add some of the pink back in here. We're going to go over that Process Red. You can even drag it all the way down if you want to. And we're going to feather it up just a little bit here. Get my trusty makeup brush. Get some of these pencil crumbs. Even here, let me clean this up just a little bit, guys. That's not as dark or vibrant. Out of the lines. Not as vibrant as I'd like it. That is where this little Ohuhu eraser will come in handy. Yeah, I get sort of most of it. So when I go back in with the green later, that will take care of that. All right, so now I'm back on the blush. So we'll put blush in here up near the top. And then we'll just top it off by blending in that Deco Pink with the blush. So you can see how this is a very pretty dark dominant kind of blend. See, it's mostly dark. Most of it is dark. Okay, another thing that you can do if you wanted to, I've got a couple of tips that will help you with blending. I will get some supplies and I'll be right back. I'm in the same Twilight Garden book, and what I'm doing is I just put a little bit of color down on this birdie here. And I wanted to show you, there are a couple of tools that you can use to help you if you still feel like you're not able to get a good blend. So the first thing is a good old blender pencil. This one's kind of a nub. This is my Prismacolor blender pencil. And in order to get this to really work well, you need to have quite a few layers of color down. Otherwise, it will be very scratchy. So you can see that will help kind of smooth out the color and fill in any white spaces. So that's one option. Another option, the way I learned to blend was to burnish with a white Prismacolor pencil, but that is going to lighten your colors just a little bit, but that will also help blend them all together if you use a white pencil. And the third thing is you can use some, let me back up a little bit here, some mineral spirit, odorless mineral spirits. This is Gamsol. I'll leave a link for it in the comments. I'm just going to do this the wrong way and dunk just a little bit of a Q-tip in there. Don't do that. You should put it in like a cap or something. But I probably have too much on here. I'm just going to softly blend these colors together. And that's another nice way to do it. And it will just blend everything together nicely for you. And you can see the colors actually coming up on the Q-tip. But it's another way, and it can kind of also give you a little bit of a watercolor blend. So that's another thing that you can do for blending. Okay, so I hope that today made sense. I know that this is kind of an unorthodox way to present content, but I think if you were to practice your blending just using grays, and if you don't have a bunch of different grays, find 3 colors in the same color family, or actually, I'm sorry, start out with like white and black, and I think every pencil set has a gray in it, which will be your mid-tone. And just try practicing with gray just to get the blending down right and to get a feel for it. I want you to really start to see the light and the dark, your highlights and your shadows. That's the whole point of this. And then I want you to apply it to a single family of color. Now you could do it, oh gosh, if we wanted to do this, let's see, I could have done an example using more colors from another color family, but I didn't, I'm sorry. But just look at the lightness of the pencil. That's what is going to matter. And if you feel like you've got too much of a jump, try to find a pencil that could fit in between there to sort of bring those 2 colors together and make it a smoother, easier transition as you're coloring. But I just want you to start thinking about light and shadow, light and dark. I think that that's really going to help out. So anyway, that's it for today. I hope that made sense. Drop any questions in the comments below for me. Let me know what you think. And I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.